Hi, it's Ileana here, and today I am going to be discussing Hypnosis, Secret Space Program, Memory Retrieval. Now, I have been doing hypnosis on myself for the last 7 years, and it was self-hypnosis. I also had quantum healing hypnosis technique. But that wasn't about the Secret Space Program. That I had done with another practitioner to learn about the reptilian abductions that I had when I was at the ages of 2 to 10, what was done to me. My health had gotten worse, so I learned hypnosis through my shamanism teacher, Native American shamanism, combining a specialized hypnosis technique with past life regression and traditional hypnosis, but I modified the traditional hypnosis to be able to do memory retrieval for Secret Space Program memories and ET abduction experiences and other paranormal experiences and phenomenon to see what can be retrieved for the client's memories concerning all of those experiences. So this first example is of my hypnosis stuff, what happened, and how hypnosis can be used for memory retrievals. So hypnosis memory retrieval. Hypnosis allows to access deeply repressed or forgotten memories for virtually anything, even if the memories are almost completely erased or blocked by the veils of secrecy. The blocks and the veils of secrecy can be removed and lifted during the hypnosis session. A person might suspect that they had been in an SSP program or programs, but they do not have any active memories of it. They can still formulate questions and provide those questions for the hypnosis practitioner to ask the person receiving the hypnosis session. The more detailed the questions, the more detailed the answers will be in regards to the recovered memories retrieved during the hypnosis session or sessions. Now, if a person is not sure whether they have SSP memories or not, or whether they were in the SSP, they could always have a shorter hypnosis session with one question, asking, for example, if they had been in Solar Warden or Nachtwaffen, just one question for exploratory hypnosis. You could also do that, or you could have a full session and asking like 5 questions or 4 questions within an hour and a half or 2 hours. It really depends on you. In introductory hypnosis sessions, what I like to do sometimes, if the person is not sure whether they were in the SSP or not, they have that one question, were they in the SSP, in which faction or factions? So we do a shorter hypnosis session to discover that information, and if it proves that they had been in the SSP, then we will do another session of hypnosis that could be an hour and a half or 2 hours. So there are methods of discovering these types of answers, whether it's in a shorter session or a longer session. So there's room for exploration and to discover what exact memories you have. That's why there's shorter sessions or longer sessions. So for example, in regards to my Cybernetics laboratories and Planetary Corporation's hypnosis retrieval notes, I have 3 topics and 8 episodes worth of material that I can explore making into online episodes at some point if I choose to. I actually made an outline of that because it's just interesting for me looking back at my hypnosis notes. And I've done presentations about this in interviews about my hypnosis notes experiences. In the SSP, I released my hypnosis notes in the forms of PDF presentations. But I thought I'd put this into a simpler outline so people could see how they can plan their outlines and timelines. If they're not sure about all their memories, they have bits and pieces, you can form a basic outline to describe your experiences in shorthand. And that also gives you a basic guideline of what memories you can explore in hypnosis. Now, this is my brief outline, but all these memories have already been explored in presentations and various hypnosis sessions. I'm just showing it to give us an example of what you can do if you have bits and pieces of memories, or if you just want a basic outline or timeline of your experiences. It could be as detailed as you want or as shorthand as you want it to be. This is just my little outline of potentially what I'm planning to do for online episodes at some point, what's interesting to me to explore. So topic number 1, SSP assets 60 and back through quantum leap time travel. Use of time travel dilation jump gates on military Mars bases to create concurrent Earth and Mars 3D timeline in order to transport SSP assets for SSP service duty for prolonged periods of time. Then once service is completed, return them through 0-point time dilation age regression to the point from where they were abducted from Earth for service duty. Time travel technology provided by the time corporations. So this would be episode 1, and I'm thinking of making this like 15 to 30 minutes or maybe 40-minute episodes, so I can explore each topic in some detail, but I don't want it to be too long, so I'm thinking from 15 to 40 minutes in length. Topic number 2, Cybernetics laboratories on Mars planetary corporations. Abducted humans with psionics abilities assigned as cybernetics technicians assisting in building biological human cyborgs augmented with nanite nanotech. Smart suits coded for cyborgs' personal DNA sequence. Smart suits protect wearer from projectile and laser fire. Nanotech embedded in the smart suit creates electromagnetic fields camouflaging the suit, so it has cloaking shields and can only be disrupted by an electrical surge blast. Episode number 2, implantation of Neuralink implants into the brain of SSP assets for synthetic telepathy, receiving uploads of medical data for laboratory training, remotely piloting craft, and accessing holographic databases in the laboratories in Mars bases. This would be episode 3. Holographic medical pods with plasma frequencies for regenerating damaged and missing body parts from field combat. Metatech units keeping SSP assets or asset alive in stasis while transporting them back to Mars military base for body regeneration. Neuralink chairs and memory engram stations for erasure and manipulation of SSP assets memories. Episode 4. Biological drug serums and dermal plasma injections to keep the body functional at optimal health and acclimatization to Mars, thin atmosphere, and high altitudes. Drug serums used for temporary or semi-permanent age regression to keep SSP assets looking young for prolonged work assignments or missions. Episode 5. DNA sequence scanner platform for handprint DNA analysis at security checkpoints into the restricted and classified zones of the cybernetics labs and R&D departments at the military bases on Mars. DNA sequencer as security measure scans the whole genome of an individual to check that the SSP asset is the original human, not a clone, not augmented cyborg, not a shape-shifting ET, and that if there are any Neuralink implants, it's what the planetary corporations authorized for lab technician work. Episode 6. Topic number 3, SSP Mars military bases and space stations cloaked by electromagnetic fields. Mars military bases are protected by electromagnetic shielded domes, which cloak the base locations for surface-level bases built out in craters and the various underground research laboratories connected to the bases. The dome cloaking prevents bases from being discovered by telescopes and satellites, as well as from space debris hitting the bases. Planetary corporations have space station platforms with cloaked shielding that are manned by SSP assets. This is where the Frigate and Tomahawk carrier ships and battle cruisers dock for retrofits and to load or unload cargo that goes between the Moon and Mars bases, as well as classified cargo of ET bodies and specimens being transferred to underground Black Ops laboratories on Earth. Cybernetics labs provide the ET specimens, tissues, experimental biological drug serums, etc., that are transferred to Earth as the classified cargo. So Planetary Corporations does provide a lot of the medical advanced technologies, and this allows to do the AT specimens, tissues, gather experimental stuff, and that is transferred to Earth to the Black Ops laboratories in the various dumb spaces underground on Earth for other experimentation. So this would be episode number 7. Human SSP assets work alongside reptilian, insectoid, Nordic, and other humanoid-looking ETs on the Mars basis and in the Cybernetics labs owned by the Planetary Corporations. The Planetary Corporations is comprised of U.S. Navy and military, off-world personnel, private aerospace corporations, personnel from other countries that have SSP programs, and abducted humans with psionic abilities, as well as ET personnel from various species allied as corporative factions with planetary corporations. This would be episode number 8. And these are some of my notes about what it was like to work with a client who didn't have their SSP memories, but had an idea that they might have been in the SSP. I'm not mentioning any names or specifics of the session, but I'm just giving an example of how the session could work. So I had a client who did not remember anything about their SSP memories except slight bits, not enough to form any cohesive outlines even. They did have 4 well-phrased questions written for their hypnosis session, and that helped to guide their session. There were many secrecy blocks put on their memories that had to be lifted to access their memories, but we got it done in 1 hour and 35 minutes. I was a bit stunned at the amount of information that was accessed, since the client had no real idea if they had been in the SSP or not. They wanted to see if there's any memories or not. So we started with a shorter 45-minute session, and once we did confirm that there's memories, the session was extended for them. They had never done hypnosis before either. In the middle of the hypnosis session, they got a little bit tired because they were accessing a lot of information, so I guided them through an energy boost visualization, and we continued the session instead of 45 minutes doing that 1 hour and 35 minutes. And I was checking in with the client to make sure they were okay and that they were feeling safe to do their session, because we did a longer session, and we answered more than 4 questions in the session. I think we answered about 7 questions, so I just was checking in to make sure they were okay to go on, because some of the memories were intense. So a good practitioner, hypnosis practitioner, will always check in with the client to make sure they're okay during the session. And you should always ask if the client gets tired. Ask them if they're okay to go on with the session, or if they need to stop the session and do part 2 in another session. because sometimes there's emotional stuff that comes in that could be traumatic, and this traumatic emotion needs to be processed, or there's a lot of memories to go through. So that's why I check in with the client to see where they are and how comfortable they are, if they can process everything in this session, or if they need to do another session and explore the memories at a later point. Because you could split these hypnosis sessions in several parts and continue with the questions in another session if that works better for the client, instead of doing a long session. So what I learned from this hypnosis session, this one in particular, is that the human subconsciousness, logical mind, and body are very resilient. So if the right approaches are done, both on behalf of the practitioner facilitating the hypnosis session and the client, then much can be accomplished during the hypnosis memory retrieval sessions. Now, there's also aftercare that the practitioner should explain to the client. When the client comes out from the hypnosis session, it needs to be done slowly to get them back into their body. After the session is closed off in the memories, the practitioner should guide the client in to feel safe in their body again when they're coming back from the session. Allow the client a few minutes to lie down, or if they're sitting with their eyes closed, to reconnect to their body. So give them a few minutes to become lucid and to be grounded in their body again. That's very important. Ask the client how they're feeling. If they feel okay. If not, have a discussion with them, please, to make sure that you can walk them through what went on in the session. Discuss it if something needs to be discussed. If they need to be calmed down, help them to be calm. That's very important, because you can't leave a client distressed, or you can't leave a client with unanswered questions. If they need to ask something or briefly discuss something, they might have not understood everything, or they're curious about something. There should be a bit of time to allow for that, to ask some basic questions if needed, or to do a follow-up consultation with the client if it's needed. Also, to let them know that they should drink some liquids, preferably water, to stay hydrated, because the client does expend energy when they're doing the session, the hypnosis session. So it's important to be hydrated after the session, and then later on to eat something so they're not hungry anymore. So those are some important aftercare tips to consider if you're a hypnosis practitioner and you're doing memory retrieval for clients. If you're just starting out or exploring the idea of memory hypnosis, that's kind of important to follow up with the client after the session to make sure they're okay, and to let them know the aftercare, what they should do after the hypnosis session to be comfortable and safe. So I wanted to explore some of those topics and ideas about hypnosis memory retrieval, especially for the Secret Space program stuff. My own examples, and from one of these sessions with the client. So yes, this is very, I think it's important to be able to get something actionable from the hypnosis sessions in terms of memory retrieval, to actually get memories, information about memories that can create a outline for you, or a timeline of what your experiences were in the SSP. How many 20s and backs you had, 60s and backs, how long you served in the programs, what your missions were, who you worked with, which planets you had been, space stations, galaxies, star systems, ships, that kind of information. Those are starting points. What kind of technology you worked with, what you did on those missions, why you were in these programs, what factions were you in of the SSP? Because there's several factions, like the nuts and bolts of the where, why, who, and when. That's what you start off with in hypnosis for memory retrieval. That's what I started off with, and that's kind of what I do with clients right now. And then we sometimes branch off into the more in-depth memories once they feel comfortable with a basic outline and timeline of their beginning stages of SSP memories. So thank you so much, and namaste.